I'm well, Seth. How are you, sir? Oh gosh, I think our offensive line needs to go back and lift some weights a little bit and work on that thing called blocking. And I think our quarterback needs to understand he can't outrun some of these 280-pound linemen that run just as fast as him. So yeah, I think get rid of the ball quick. Yes, sir. Yeah, yeah. Yep, ILL. Yeah, we were there for homecoming. We were the people that looked like baked rotisserie chicken in the horseshoe because it was a warm afternoon. But yeah, I was a little nervous towards the beginning of that game. We weren't really putting them away until it seemed like we realized who we were after the second half. But I think. I mean, how about that? We're ranked and we're actually going to be on a national platform for our game on Friday against Nebraska. So, I think we're getting a bowl game out of this. And I mean, that was one of the things that I thought when Bielema came in is that if we could qualify for a bowl, especially a meaningful bowl instead of the, blockbuster rental bowl or whatever we can go. But yeah, I thought if we could play for a meaningful bowl, that's a successful season. So we haven't been to what, the Rose Bowl in 20 some years. Yeah. Yeah, so to remind your listeners, the Illinois Youth Survey is something put on by the Department of Human Services, overseen by the Center of Prevention, Research, and Development at the U of I School of Social Work. It is a self-report survey for all eligible 8th, 10th, and 12th graders that they complete about a 35-minute survey that surveys them on family dynamics, behaviors, a little bit of mental health, but mostly substance use. And so what is interesting about this is that we are able to watch the same aged kids as they go through 8th and then 10th and 12th because the survey is done every other year. So we're surveying the exact same kids and watching, are we making progress or are there emerging areas that we need to pay attention to? So just kind of starting off right from the very beginning of the survey, some of the questions that are interesting, at least to me, is your residence. So the question would be out of your 8th, 10th, and 12th graders, who do you live with most of the time? And according to, I'm pulling DeWitt County as a whole, that way I'm not isolating it into one school group, but DeWitt County as a whole, 48% of your 8th graders, 49% of your 10th graders, and 56% of your 12th graders say that they live with both of their parents, which is interesting. Then the sharp drop off to 15, 17, and 17 for living with a parent and step parent. So not that you can draw a complete conclusion from that, but it is an interesting detail that basically half of our kids are being raised in a home primarily with their original parental dyad. Sure. Yeah. Exactly. I don't want to, put one against the other. So In Piatt County, the numbers are a little bit higher. They average around 65% of living with both parents. So kind of running down to the next case, one of the things that we're looking at is how often have the kids used a legal substance in the past year? And so for DeWitt County, we're looking at the question, in the past year, have you ever used any common substance plus vaping? It includes alcohol, tobacco, e-cigarettes, and vaping products. So that's around the 30% range for our 8th, 10th, and 12th graders. So that's in Piatt County, and that's in DeWitt County. In Piatt County, it's a little bit higher. It's 30% for our 8th graders, 40% for our 10th graders, and 47% for our 12th graders. So that's anybody that's used a substance. So while that's elevated, it's actually down from the last time we did our Illinois youth survey. And hopefully that diminishes the uncommon thought that all of our kids are using illegal substances, because what that really conversely means is, 60% of our youth are choosing to be substance free, which is a really good stat to look at. Again, some of our highest usage is alcohol by far. Out of that group, 27 to 35% are using alcohol. And then just kind of looking around, marijuana is probably our second one, followed by e-cigarettes. So that is something that we're looking at. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I think that's kind of a difficult stat. I wouldn't feel qualified or confident enough to make a generalized statement about that, because while I think if both parents are healthy, I think that, yeah, it's primarily going to be the best place to for a child to be brought up. But I think that if we're talking about a family member, even though they're biologically related to the child, if they've got a serious substance use mental health issue, then obviously that's going to impair them. I think the biggest thing, Steph, for us to look at when it's talking about how does that impact their development or their functioning would be really going back to something you and I talked about many years ago called the adverse childhood experience, or the ACEs. Is there in the family dyad, is there criminality, domestic violence, substance use, sexual abuse, emotional abuse? Because if that's happening, then we know there are longitudinal studies that we are looking at that will impact their functioning and their physiological health. That's correct. Right. Well, the way the survey asks is it's sometimes difficult for us to show their growth. What we can see is that obviously, as they get closer to 21, they are experimenting with alcohol and marijuana at a higher increase. And some of it asks the same question, so it is repeatedly, have you ever used? So obviously, if an eighth grader says, yes, I have used, they're going to answer that same way as when they were in 12th grade. I have used before. What we're looking at are binge drinking rates. We're looking at um, um, what are they doing with that, like driving in a car, dating violence, some of that stuff. So what I can tell you as far as in a whole that's interesting to me is it appears through our studies while the usage is going down, it's our age of first occurrence um, seems to be going down. So, for example, just looking at when's the first time I had a drink of alcohol, the average age is around 14 years. When's the first time that I smoked a cigarette? That's 13 and a half. Same thing, used a vaping product or I'm sorry, used marijuana. Marijuana is at 15.2%. What I'm concerned about is I'm seeing that first initiation seems to be getting younger, particularly when we're talking about vaping usage, because some of our average ages of first occurrence with vaping is as young as 12 years of age. No, 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 no. Please encourage everyone to Google Illinois Youth Survey, and then just when you go on this web page, it'll show you survey results, and you can break it down by county. Again, Illinois Youth Survey under search survey results and look under county. Well, um, I would say we don't relax well in America. I think we call relaxation medication. Whether that's through legal recreational moods manipulating substances, or we just completely avoid it whatsoever. I think, sadly, I heard one time a speaker say that one of the biggest things that you can do for yourself, for your emotional health or your mental health, is to give yourself capacity, which means that if you do that, you're going to have to say no to some things. And we don't say no to anything because we've got to keep up with the neighbors, both, with their financial things. Gosh, we've got to make sure our kids get into travel ball at least by the age of 6, or they're never going to make the major leagues. We've got to make sure that we are tied into all of the newest TikTok trends and have the fanciest clothes, because deep down, I think we're insecure about presenting our true authentic self. And so we don't do a very good job of relaxing in the appropriate way. Well, I mean, I think we all do it differently, but what I do think that's interesting is that a lot of this is it's rest, which is interesting to me. One of the best things that we possibly can do are two things that are relatively easy. Just having healthy breath, controlling our breathing, being mindful about what our body is telling us and how we're responding to certain things, and then just basically getting enough sleep. So, one of the things that I thought was interesting in some of the research, and remembering what my wife had said when she went to Barcelona, was that Spain has a siesta, where just in the middle of the workday, things shut down for a couple hours, and then you come back and you get at it. And it's this idea of, is it healthy for us to work 8, 10, 12 hours a week or a day nonstop? Or is it more productive to have rest and then be more refreshed? Because as you know, our circadian rhythms, after we eat, our high caloric, high carbohydrated lunch, we have that 1 to 2 p.m. crash, and we're not very productive. We're normally checking emails or slogging through a webinar or something like that. Would we be more productive if we change it up? Just like other businesses, they move to a 4-day work week because they think that it's just as productive. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes, 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 yes. No, that's all right. That's all right. Yeah, I would say the most healthy thing all of our listeners can do right now is make sure they get at least 7 hours of consecutive sleep. One of the ways that we can do that is really monitor the last 90 minutes of what we're doing before we go to bed. So, not a big fan of having the TV in the bed, the phone in the bed, iPad in the bed. I know some people are like, well, I like a Kindle. Kindle, I think, is okay because it doesn't have that blue light. It's kind of that dimmer light. We need to be training our body and our brain that the bedroom is a place for where we're going to sleep. And not trying to continue to stimulate it by all the clickbait we're watching on whatever website we're looking at. So yeah, just trying to get ourselves calmed down and trying to bring our arousal cycle down so that we can get sleep. So sleep, drink more water, eat less garbage, walk outside. That would probably be top 4 easy things we could do. Yeah, check us out online, Piatt, mhc.org. Give me a call, 217-762-5371, or check us out online on Facebook.